wasn't able to go because I had a brass quintet coaching with Professor.
Oh, that was you guys?
Yeah.
Sounded good.
Thank you.
What do you, that's, Ewald?
Yeah.
Which one?
3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you guys sounded good.
I played 1 and 2 so many times. I'm like, I know that Ewald.
Yeah. I haven't played 2. I've played 1, and then I've played 3, like, quite a few times.
Yeah. Oh, it sounded really good.
Yeah. Freshman group especially.
Yeah.
I was sitting like, hey, I wish I had a group that played like this. Dang it. Alright.
Awesome. Okay, your recital is Monday, so right after mine.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's change everything about, no, I'm just kidding. Priscilla was telling me that you play piano, like, really well.
I don't know about really well, but
well enough to learn the piano part for this?
not for this, probably not.
Okay.
I'm playing a piano piece in my recital though. Do you know?
Are you?
Yeah. Bach Prelude in D minor from Well-Tempered Clavier Book 2.
Cool, sing it. Which one is
It's
it?
like I'm gonna go up an octave.
Cool.
It's like
So you're taking piano here, the
yeah.
secondary?
I'm with some men.
Okay,
Yeah, I like it a lot.
cool. That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to do some Schulek?
I was actually thinking that we could do some excerpts. I wanted to do Mozart
okay.
Requiem and then Hungarian March. And then if there's time, we could do some Schulich as well.
Okay.
Because I've had a lot of lessons with that with Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's do Hungarian March. Okay.
Okay. Good, good. You're very well set up for everything, you know. You get a beautiful sound. You play well in tune for the most part. You've got great facility on the horn. What do you think? Well, how do you think this was, first of all?
I think the articulations were pretty inconsistent. Like sometimes the tongue felt sticky, and some of the notes just weren't like speaking exactly the same.
Okay. What else?
Well, I was recording this earlier, and I noticed that all those ascending scales in the beginning are not as in tune as I thought that they were. So, yeah.
Isn't that always the case? Okay. What else?
Let's see. Once I get to like here, from here to the end, it pretty much sounds the same in terms of like intensity and dynamics.
Very good observation. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad thing.
Right. Right. Do you have the whole part to this?
No.
Okay. You should get the whole part.
Okay.
Okay? Because it's really hard to know what's going on in a piece of music if you just have just a tiny chunk on a page, you know, that Eastern Music Festival put online. Have you listened to the whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you know, like, what do you think of to get your tempo?
Well, I know a little bit before this, there's like, it's like, there's not as many people playing, it's kind of like flutes, and there's like, they're doing the kind of a little bit before this, and I just think of that.
Okay, good, good. What's the, like, stylistically, how do you hear this? Do you know what I mean?
Um,
Like you said, it was kind of the same from, you know, like the body of the excerpt from here to here. And in intensity. It was kind of the same in style too, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Did that seem to fit what the rest of the orchestra does before it and what comes after it?
I'd say it could have been lighter. I think it was too heavy.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Heavy, I would agree stylistically, but it also needs to be louder
Okay.
for the orchestra. I
Okay.
mean, this is one of those excerpts. It's big. You're playing in unison, but it's a big sound. One thing that's a really good way to get the style and the tempo in your head is just to hear the beginning of the piece. Now, do you remember the very beginning of the piece? It's like percussion in the upper winds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, and you kind of hear that, and where we start that slow scale, kind of starts like the beginning again. So let's go back and just get the very beginning of this.
Okay.
Exactly the way you want it. Better. Okay. Can you think of those as rounder, like they really bounce? You mentioned articulation, right? You mentioned that in the master class the other day too. Is that kind of you feel like you don't have good articulations, or?
Yeah, I've always been like really self-conscious about my articulations.
Well, why?
Because kind of like in the beginning of senior year, I realized that I was articulating the wrong way. Like I would put my tongue in between my teeth. So then I was changing that and trying to like raise the articulation point a little more.
Okay.
And I think it's definitely gotten better, but I still haven't gotten to the point where it's like as consistent as I want it to sound.
Okay. And you do know that your tongue position changes with the range of your instrument, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're playing low and down in the trigger range, it is okay to go th, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, when you're playing up high, you don't want to be going th, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with your articulations at all.
Okay.
Okay? What I think you need to sort of, let's turn around that thinking. What makes us hear the articulation? Okay, here's the sound your tongue makes. Did you hear anything?
No.
Exactly. What makes us hear the sound?
There.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay? So, if you are not getting articulations that you like, I would bet you $100 right now that it's because your air isn't doing what you want it to. Has nothing to do with your tongue.
Okay.
Has everything to do with your air because the air runs your tongue. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? So if you can start trying to maybe shift the dynamic of the way you think about that, because our tongue is one of those things that when we spend too much energy micromanaging it, the air backs off, the music backs off, and does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but if you can think of, what do I want my air to do? Carry that one step further. Okay, now musically, how do I want this to sound? All right, then that will tell you what you want your air to do. Okay, I'm just launching little balls of air, right?
Yeah.
Can you do that without the horn with me?
Okay.
And don't worry about anything here. Just let's musically go for that sound we want with the air.
Okay.
1 and 2 and. Ba-da-dum. There you go.
Okay.
Let's do that. Okay?
Yeah.
So that kind of air, that kind of intensity in the air. Ready? Take it again from the top. 1 and 2 and.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So please file that away in your brain.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you feel like, oh, I didn't like my articulations, which sounds like that's sort of embedded in you because it's something you changed, right?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's amazing that you recognize that and went, I need to change this. That's incredible. Okay? But now you need to, on top of that, go, okay, now I realize that my air is what controls my articulation.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't like what I'm hearing with my articulation, then I need to address my air. Okay? Rather than thinking I need to address my articulations. Okay? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I just worked with you on just tonguing on this, it might get better. Well, it probably would get better, but it wouldn't get better as fast. And the sound would not be what you want.
Uh-huh.
Again, we would kind of be going in the back door when, you know, there's a door right in front of us, and all the things that you want, you know, more intensity musically. All of these things can be addressed by, how do I want it to sound? Okay, now what do I need for my air to do to get that sound? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, beginning 1,000 times better. Now, let's look at the body of this, okay?
Yeah.
It's a march, right?
Mm-hmm.
Marches don't go da 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 da, right?
Right.
Okay. So these long notes, da 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 da. Okay. If you let the natural decay of the note happen and just let the sound go with the phrase rather than, so we don't get, have you practiced this on like one note?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. That's just the best tool in the world, one note practicing.
Yeah.
You don't want as much. Okay, it doesn't have the feel of a march.
Yeah.
You know, da 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 da. You know, and you've got really good facility on the horn. You know, I heard that during the David. Okay, so what again? Plug in the musical idea that you want. Dee da 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 da. I'm not talking about a space between the long notes and the short notes, but just round notes rather than square flat notes.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play it all on A together. Hearing the phrase in your head, okay, and getting more shape in the overall phrase, okay? Mm-hmm. 2 and 1 and... Good. Okay. Now let's do that one more time, and we're gonna do that first phrase on A, the second phrase on F, and then the third phrase on E.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me turn on where'd my metronome go? Where do you usually take it?
I usually go with like 92.
All right. That's close. 180. Okay?
Yeah.
So just one note, A, F, E. 1, 2, 1, Good. Okay, let me hear you do it. Good. Okay. We'll come down in the sound quite as much, because the whole thing does have to stay like within a forte dynamic.
Okay.
But that's good. That's got the kind of a little bit more of a bounce on it. All right.
Uh-huh.
So now do that same thing again, and just blow through a little more. All right.
Okay.
One more time. 1 and 2. Good. That's already better. That's already better.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
What can make it even better?
Let's see. I'd say maybe trying to enforce like where the downbeats are. So
Yeah.
maybe emphasize like these a little bit more.
Yeah, so it doesn't sound like da 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 da
Yeah.
da. Yes. Very good. So could you say a little bit of consistency also with the shape of the note and how they're not all resonating equally, are they?
No.
Like some of them are like, yeah, fat, and then some of them are like, oh, that wasn't quite the note that I would have liked,
Yeah.
right? And the pitch wasn't like right on the money.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You practice this slowly, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that a little bit louder than you usually play it? Or is that about?
I'd say, well, okay, so before, I used to play it pretty loud around like this level, but I started to play it a little quieter because I thought that I was like kind of getting bogged down by playing it really, really loud. I guess I just like didn't practice playing it loud correctly though or something, and that's why it was bogging me down.
Yeah, I mean, to play loud, you have to practice.
Yeah.
Okay. Your observations about your own playing are very, very good. Okay?
Yeah.
What we should do is always just take it one step further. Okay? You thought, well, I'm bogging down playing at a really big forte, so I'll back off. But in the orchestra, or even in an audition, you have to have a pretty big sound on this.
Mhm.
So instead of thinking, well, I'll just back off, let's think, I'll make my loud sound better. How's that?
Yeah.
And I'll learn not to drag. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah. Trombone players are like big dogs. We're like the newfies of the music world. You know what a newfie is? Like the Newfoundlands, the
Yeah.
big black fuzzy things.
Mhm.
They're just sweeter than sweet.
Yeah.
They're
Do you
just-
know Mark Fisher?
Oh yeah.
He was my teacher at home, and he had two Newfoundlands or Newfies.
He's really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark and I played together in Elgin.
Really?
Yeah. Mark and I
That's
go way
hilarious.
back. Oh, Mark's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, wouldn't you agree? We're just like real good natured and really good at being big and behind the beat and right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this excerpt, there's a reason it's on auditions, right?
Mhm.
Because it tells people immediately, can you play soft? Then it immediately tells them, can you play in tune? In the first two measures, they can tell if you can play in tune or not, right? And then in the first line, they can tell, wow, can you play with a good sound? And then in the next line, they can tell, wow, can you play in time and in tune? So, I mean, a lot of reasons. But this one is one of those that we really do have to practice years really slowly. Okay. Just for grins, to get some real consistency in the air, let's do this with no tongue at all at this tempo. And breathe wherever you need to.
Okay.
Alright? Because that's not the deal. It's like, I'm just trying to get some sound going here. You know, and relax. Don't push anything. Just relax, easy sound.
Okay.
One. Very good. Let's do that again. And let's see if Joel Essing has a fantastic phrase for playing in rhythm. He's like, move your slide in rhythm. Rather than think of trying to coordinate tongue and slide.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes we think, oh, my tongue and my slide just aren't coordinated. Well, that's too hard to think of doing. That's a lot of brain power. But play in rhythm, or move arm in rhythm. That's easy, right? Right?
Yeah.
Do that. Just think through it with just your strum. Excellent. Okay? Guarantee you when you put a tongue with that, it's going to be clean as can be. So when we are doing no tongue at all, make sure that it's still very, very rhythmic.
Okay.
Okay? And just, you know, again, that's another phrase to put into your brain. Move, slide, in rhythm. It's like, I can do that. That's easy. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay? One, good. Let's do it one more time. That was a little better together that time. Good. That was late. Good breath. Okay, one more time. Good. Now let's add eighth notes on everything. Do, 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 do. One, good. Let me hear you do that. Do it on the air string. Do you know what I mean by that? Right now you're playing individual notes going da 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 da. On. Do, 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 do. So the air never stops.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Now, let's up the air a little bit more. Excellent. Watch your turnaround note. Turnaround notes are notorious for wanting to be sharp. We don't get quite far out enough, and the C sharp is consistently just like that one shy. Okay? One more time. That's good. Just a little more air. Blow through it. A little more sound. Sorry, I missed that number. One, and excellent. A little more even? Let's just push it.
Okay.
One, and good. Good sound too. Now, back off like 2%. Okay? One more time. Good. Now, let's put in the rhythm. And I don't want you to change the way you're blowing. Okay?
Yeah.
Keep the same airstream, but less really fat articulations.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Good. All right. Let's. Okay. Now in the practice room, you would take this process a little bit more slowly, right?
Yeah.
You go back and do it all on one note again. Okay. But let's just play the rhythm here.
Okay.
Okay, with the notes. Go ahead and play it. Okay, good. Now I want you to put more on the front.
Okay.
Alright?
Yeah.
You're blowing plenty of air, so you're not going to splat notes. If there's that much air behind it, now let's really put a ping on the front of those.
Okay.
Okay?
Just the
Da
downbeat.
da 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 da. Okay?
Okay.
But you'll know. Make it sound the way you want to hear it. Good. I'd say keep blowing with those articulations, okay? And that's a great sound too. Do you like that?
Yeah.
It's resonating. Every single note note was clear and resonant.
Yeah.
Did you feel that?
Yeah.
And that's the difference also between playing on the airstream and playing not on the airstream.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a huge difference, and one is much easier. It's like you want your default setting, like there's a little switch right here, just like on Data. You know, the Android Data?
No.
Star Trek, The Next Generation? That's just so sad.
I've seen one of the Star Trek movies.
Anyway,
but
he's the Android. He has
Okay.
an on-off switch right here, and it's like click. So your on setting is, that's your on setting. Everything happens on that, okay? Much easier to dance on the airstream and do whatever you want than it is to make air happen with your tongue.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
And you will also be able to fix what you hear as your articulation issues.
Yeah.
And because I sure didn't hear anything like an articulation issue in that. I just heard a huge fat sound with a lot of clarity. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? So air runs your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, of course, there are things that you don't want to play totally on the airstream if you have to just come in and go. Obviously, I'm playing. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, so within reason. But you want to be just your natural state of being on the trombone, because it's just so much easier to have that blanket of air. Joe Alessi does that better than anybody in the world. That column of air, okay? It's like a freight train, you know, which is sometimes good and, you know, depending on your taste.
Yeah.
Right? But he can technically do anything on the instrument. You know, I don't know if you've heard him do some of his insane pieces. Like
I was at Midwest Clinic in December, and he played the Mackey Harvest Concerto. I saw that. It was really cool.
Yeah. It's
I was like 3 rows from the front, too.
Wow. Do you
Just
know what
like
I
right
mean
in
about
front
the
of
air
them.
column?
Yeah.
About it's just air.
It's so consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And and that gives you the ability to just manipulate, maneuver, create any words you want to think of, to just do anything you want to. Okay? That's going to give you that fat consistency as well, and the beauty and the clarity in the sound. So you don't want to sound the same on every excerpt. Okay? I want to skip ahead to right here. Alright?
Yeah.
Should that do you want do you know what I mean? That's kind of like da 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 da. Doesn't fit with the rest of it, does it?
Right.
Okay? When you were playing through it, it was kind of like do 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 dum ba da da do 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 dum da 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 dum ba 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 pum bum bum bum. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? You're right there. That's a good one for that. Okay. Well, that was good, and that was actually better, but not quite dropping away so much on the end. Okay?
Okay.
Not quite so much. Do, 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 do.
Okay.
Still sound on the ends of the beats. Okay, good. Now smooth that out just a little bit. It's a little bit too punchy on the downbeats.
Okay.
Alright? I want you to smooth it out just a tiny bit. And these half notes need to go into the next downbeat.
Okay.
Even if you take a breath, which you're going to need to. Dum ba ba dum ba da dum bum ba dum ba ba bum ba ba bum bum ba dum ba ba bum bum ba ba ba. Okay?
Yeah.
One more time.
Yeah.
Now, practicing it. Would you practice at this volume all the time? Nah, I wouldn't. Because you don't need to, and you're not going to hear everything. Okay? It's really good practice to practice this. Okay?
Yeah.
Just real easy, real soft. Okay? Let's do it at that.
I have a question about
Sure.
those half notes. So, everyone that I've worked on with this before tells me to breathe there, but Mark Fisher would always say to not breathe there, and he would say to like breathe after one of these quarter notes because he thought that it was bad to break that up. Do you have
An
thoughts
opinion on that?
Yeah.
When you say other people, who do you mean? People that have played in orchestras, or just other teachers, or both?
Yeah.
It's a tough one, breathing and you notice I didn't tell you to breathe or not breathe, but I told you musically what that note has to do. Okay?
Yeah.
So that I think is the answer.
Okay.
You don't need to breathe after every half note, after every one of those. And if you cannot breathe, even better. I mean, you don't want to, what sometimes happens is trombonists will almost slur into or slide into that next one, and that doesn't sound like a march either.
Right.
Dum dum da dum ba ba ba. You don't want that.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense either. But it's those half notes have to have intensity forward. Okay? So whether you breathe or not breathe really is not the issue as much as it is what are you doing during the half note.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be noticed because musically you're playing through that with such intensity that whether or not you breathe, nobody even notice.
All right.
And in the orchestra, the simple truth is you're going to breathe wherever you want to because there's three of you playing and it's really loud and you breathe when you need to.
Yeah.
Okay. Your F to F. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a lovely bop percussion section on your horn.
Yeah.
Right. Well, why are you playing it in sixth because that's stuffy and blows back at you? And
honestly, I change back and forth. Sometimes I decide to play it in sixth. Sometimes I decide to play it in first.
where does it sound better? And
I feel like that it changes. Like sometimes I'll work a lot on trigger stuff, and then all of a sudden I realize that the F sounds better in first, and then sometimes I'll like go a little bit without focusing as much on like the trigger register, and then I realize, oh, it sounds better in sixth again.
Okay, here's another opinion. If you isolate those individual notes and play them slowly, there's no doubt that it will sound better in sixth.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
But you're going along at a pretty good clip.
Uh-huh.
It is likely to be out of tune, as it was every time you played it.
Yeah.
Unfocused, uncentered, and not sound very good. Now granted, you have a stuffy trigger. But I think if you work on it, you can work on popping that F out and get a beep bop that fits, that sounds good, you know, is a good sound. It's a big, round, fat pop, pop octave, and it'll be in tune.
Uh-huh.
So, to me, it doesn't make any sense to throw your arm all the way out there when it will be like, I mean, again, you can practice it and get it to sound perfect. I think your time is better spent working on the other issues there when you've got a trigger that's acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's at least an open wrap, and just make your trigger notes in tune.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to, you know, we don't want to play the saw. We want to play the slide trombone,
Yeah.
right? Okay, and that's what happens a lot is people end up playing the saw.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not gonna, right.
Okay.
So that's my feeling on that.
All right.
Okay, play a little Mozart.
Okay.
Was there somebody else out there?
I saw Jackie peek in the window.
Uh-oh. She's supposed to be at 3:30?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, she was. Sorry. Okay. We went over.
I think we started kind of late too, because Brendan was in here until like 3:10 or like almost 3:10 or something like that, and then Matt and Ron was like working with the camera.
Yes. Okay.
So it was a late start.
Anytime you want to play for me and
Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
Oh, I did
was
too.
good. I actually just recorded for.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Too.
I just recorded for EMF like 4 or 5 days ago.
Cool.
And it would have been great if this happened before that.
Well, you play so well. You really do play beautifully.
Thank
and
you.
I really encourage you to change your mode of thinking about your articulation issues.
Yeah.
Because that's baggage that you don't need.
Mm-hmm.
That it's not an issue anymore.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And I firmly believe that 99% of the times when something is not working the way you want it to on the trombone, that either concept is the problem. So let's say you do know what you want it to sound like. If it's still not working, I bet you anything it's your air not doing what you want it to.
Uh-huh.
And that's the place to start. All right?
Yeah.
Because trying to micromanage the others, it's not efficient, it doesn't work, and it ties you in a knot. It's like, let's try and make your tonguing, can you make your tonguing cleaner there? Well, how are you going to do that, really? What are you going to do that? I mean, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very abstract, random thing that we get told, no, let's just make those cleaner. What really happens is that we usually change the way we blow, not the way we tongue, right?
Yeah.
So let's just think about air in the first place, and again, take that weight off your brain of I have issues. It's like, no, you don't. No,
Okay.
you don't. Okay?
Yeah.
Because you don't. You play beautifully. I mean, man, you got skills. So
Thank you.
I encourage you to think beyond, like one step beyond, where you take your thoughts
Okay.
on things. It's like, okay, my loud wasn't working, I was dragging, so I'll just not play as loud. It's like, I love that Batman, the Batman Robin comic where Batman gets like Robin gets half a phrase out of his mouth, and Batman, it's one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. I do know that one.
Yeah, so it's like, think, okay, well then what do I need to do to make that better? And we did a little of it here, just blowing through, work on blowing on the airstream with everything.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What is that? Absolute favorite. Not.